Welcome to Ant World. This will be another tutorial presented to you by Ant World. Today I will tell you some tips and tricks and what you should be concerned about while keeping a developing colony. I will be also sharing some tips in catching wild colonies. Welcome to Ant Keeping 101. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more video updates. Today I will be talking about 4 things that you have to be concerned about while keeping a developing colony. Let's get right into the video. Number 1. Food. Food is very important for any living organism. So ants literally require 2 types of food, which is proteins and carbohydrates. So proteins are used in the growth of the larvae and the growth of the colony. You can provide proteins for the colony in the form of insects such as roaches or mealworms. So the colony requires a large number of insects to get the ideal amount of protein. You can control the growth of the colony by controlling their intake of proteins. The second type of food material they need on their diet is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates energizes the ants and helps them fuel up for doing all of their day-to-day activities, which include tending to the brood. This is really required and essential for the colony. You can feed carbohydrates in the form of honey or sugary substances. As this will make the colony grow faster and also will make observing them a lot easier. Here you can see a large colony of Fidoli ants. They have a lot of brood and also some nice majors. This brood requires protein to develop. Number 2. Housing. So as you may know, you must house a queen ant at test tube setup. But what happens when you have a developing colony? So mostly you have to move them into a formicaria. If you want to know more about a formicaria, click on the iCard which will display now. So the formicaria will help the ant colony grow very much. Then you can add an outworld in which you can feed the ants different food. Number 3. Moisture. Moisture is the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere or at least in the air in the setup. So moisture is essential for the colony. Moisture can control the growth of the colony too. So higher the moisture, higher the growth of the colony. All ants need a moderate moisture, which is almost about 50% to 60%. Here you can see a dinosaur ant drinking some honey. So, moisture is really important. In formicarias, we have water holes. These water holes should be filled with water and thus providing moisture throughout the whole nest. Moisture is really important. Number 4. Fungus. So, if you leave parts of the food behind in their nest, fungus could grow on those particles and the fungus may kill the colony completely. And as ant keepers, I am sure that no one will want that. So never let any parts of the food be left behind. There are 2 methods to avoid fungus. One is cleaning up every week. So the ants are really neat and they leave behind piles of these waste in their outworld. So the ant keeper just has to clean it up. There is another method which can only be used in ants living in terrarias. It is adding another group of creatures such as arthropods and springtails who clean up after the ants. This is a really useful method if you ask me. Now let's get on with the next part, in which I will explain some tips and what you should be concerned about while catching a wild colony. So I have lots of experience catching wild colonies, and you have to be sure and aware of two things. One is the species, and the second one is the egg-laying queen or gametophyte. Number 1. The species. I always like to catch a species which is big or large in size, as this makes it very easy to catch them. The larger the size of the species, the more easier it is to catch them. If you have tried catching small species of ants, you may know how difficult it is to manage it. It is exceptionally difficult to catch smaller species such as Fidoli or fire ants. Number 2. The egg-laying queen or gametophyte. It is very important to catch the queen of the colony, because without the queen, the colony will simply die off. So, always, first of all, make sure you have caught the queen, and only then start catching the workers. If it's a gametophyte colony, it is almost impossible to identify the gametophyte from the other workers. So, always catch another male unrelated worker from another colony before you are catching such colony, as if you already have the male ant and you could not catch the gametophyte, you can simply release the male ant into the colony's enclosure and it will mate with an unfertilized worker, and thus the colony can progress. That's all for today's video, guys. I hope these tips and tricks will help you very much to become a better ant keeper. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to write it down in the comments. I will always read it and look into it. I'll be also trying to improve your experience here in this channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more video updates.